Oh, there's a huge cobweb around me. Like a ginormous cobweb. Can you see this?
Just make that up just for content.
No, there is.
I can't see any
Can
cobweb.
you see this?
No? Anyway, I'd like to start off into this episode with a little intro.
I love how you say something and it just doesn't make any grammatical sense.
Or if it doesn't slap, it ain't. You know, I need to keep the momentum.
I'm gonna start off into this episode.
I don't want to hit up with any like handbrake turns that slow down the whole progress of the whole situation. Are you stuck in the Suez Canal because you lodged your mega tanker trying to turn it around? Well, don't worry. We've got just the podcast for you. Welcome to HQLA.
Wow. So relevant.
HQLA.
So relevant.
So relevant. Yeah.
That's good.
That's exactly what's going on. We are in Dixon Park Beach.
This is Dixon Park Beach.
This is Dixon Park Beach. You can see the lovely
just behind
view
us
behind.
And then if you can look a little bit further down there, where the shoreline starts to curve, that is Merriweather Beach. And that is the ground for the Rip Curl Cup, or whatever it's called.
It's called the Rip Curl Cup. I didn't know what it was called. So.
It's called the Rip Curl sponsor it.
Yeah.
I don't think you call a surfing competition a cup though.
The
Rip Curl, I don't know.
Yeah.
World Surf League event.
It's an event which is sponsored by Rip Curl.
So it's a WSL, so it's the World Surf League.
Okay, yeah.
And so international surfing superstars are all converging on Newcastle next week or the week after. And so they've just started set up now. So you can see some flags and they're putting up the judging booth and all that kind of stuff. So it is going to be the largest sporting event in Newcastle ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, hey?
Even larger than the international... You know what? I'm not going to talk about that because I don't actually know what it's called. So it was the disabled one. Don't worry. There was one in Spears Point that was like a disabled...
No, it's bigger than that.
Okay, bigger than that. Wow. Is Kelly Slater going to be here?
Maybe.
Is Mark Richards going to be here?
He lives here.
Yeah, he does live here.
I've one of his surfboards.
Yeah, true. I used to work in his PKF was set up in his shop.
Really?
Yeah, so that's where it used to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a fun fact for you.
And so today's the 27th of March, and tomorrow is my birthday.
Yes, that's exciting.
So there's another interesting fact for you.
How old are you turning?
24.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is very old.
It seems pretty old.
Yeah.
You know, like 25 is supposed to be a peak, you know?
Yeah, well,
like
we better get going.
Physically.
We better start moving.
So in 2 weeks, I'm doing a marathon.
Yes. You're peaking early.
Yeah, peaking a bit early.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, this is episode 8.
Yeah.
So actually, one thing also I'd like to mention in the intro, we've never actually talked about where we got our name from, I think.
Oh, that's good.
As a little intro bit.
Before you do that, could I just say, last episode, you'll notice that my voice is a bit funny, and I'm going to blame it on hay fever.
Oh, really?
We have I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who notices because I know what my voice sounds like, but my voice sounds a bit funny in episode 7, and it was the change of season. It was the very start episode of March, or maybe it was the end of February. Maybe it was the end of February. And what do you think? End of February? Start of March.
We did that on the 6th of March.
Okay, so the start of March, and so it's a change of season into autumn, and so it always hits me pretty hard.
Yes, we even mentioned that it was the
did.
first autumn podcast.
That's right. So HQLA.
The
meaning of the name.
I actually wanted to kick this off before I promote it on my socials, where people. No, because I've never promoted this yet.
Oh, okay. So this is the announcement to your friends.
I've never actually. Yeah, so I've never promoted it yet, but I have a few people from work that follow me on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're gonna they're gonna see the name and they're gonna be like, what? So they're not gonna watch the episode, but. If they happen to, HQLA is a term that we use every day.
It doesn't mean headquarters in Los Angeles.
No, it doesn't, which is what John thought.
Yeah.
So it's high-quality liquid assets, and it's actually a banking term for... it's a banking term for what assets survive when your bank goes completely under. So when your bank goes under, what can you sell which still has some value? Mm-hmm. And that's your HQLA value, essentially.
And what do those... letters mean? Did you say that?
So high quality liquid assets.
You did say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I don't know.
So
I was looking at the police.
All the bonds that are still around at the end of
It's not specific to a bank though, is it?
It's a banking. I
Is
think
it a banking
I
term?
think it is specific to a bank.
Cool.
Well, it can be specific to any treasury, but it's a treasury term.
A treasury term.
Yeah, but the way that we've used it, high quality liquid assets can be the high quality stocks we're talking about and the high quality cars, because we like to think that we're providing high quality liquid
Cars
assets.
are a little bit less liquid,
Yeah. Well,
but stocks are pretty liquid nowadays.
Yeah.
Unless they stop trading again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's all supposed to be high quality. And,
Yeah, it's good.
Liquid. It's fast moving. It's happening. It's flowing.
Doesn't even need to be liquid, to be honest. If it's a good asset,
This
just keep it
podcast
forever.
is an asset
This
to
is.
your ear holes. That was a good clap. We needed a clap for lining up the episode. I forgot to do it.
There's something really weird happening. Just saying, there's just there's like little cobwebs floating around in the breeze.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about it.
I wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, Nathan, you've got a company which I'm interested in.
I do. Okay, so we do a
Knowing-
shared OneNote for a few things, and so I've put a tab on here for Isaac to look at, so you can have a look at that.
I
now.
can have a look at it now. Okay.
And so
I'm excited to see this.
the
If it's the same as, I'm just going to say,
there's
I don't
no
know,
chance it's going to be the same.
I don't know what it is, but if it's the same company that I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm going to be very annoyed because
Okay.
then I'm not going to be.
I
able
don't
to
think
do
there's
mine.
any chance.
Okay.
Okay,
alright.
so this company is called STEM.
It's loading so slowly.
Okay, well, it didn't bring any reaction, so obviously it's
Here
not
we
what
go.
you're doing.
STEM. Okay, I haven't. No, it's not. Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is a SPAC. So
Yes.
the SPAC, and as I did last time when I talked about IPOE, which was SoFi, what I'll do again is I'll mainly talk about STEM, and then I'll get to the actual acquisition company towards the end. So the company STEM was founded in 2009, and if you were to give it a 4-word description, it's an AI-driven energy storage company.
Wow. Okay.
AI-driven needs to be one word for that to work.
It's
Because
hitting.
it's got a hyphen.
Yeah.
Sorry, technically. So here's an interesting one. So their 2020 annual report states that they're the world's largest network of energy storage systems.
Wow.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Are you looking at my things now?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm looking.
So the first image that you'll see coming up here
Yes.
is the storage capacity commission. So this is projects that they've embarked on
Yeah.
and final commissioned works. So you can see their STEM, which is the company we're talking about,
Yeah.
has just over 600,000 megawatt hours.
Yes.
And Tesla, very close, just under that. Hyundai Electric. And then there's Mitsubishi right down there. NEC makes it onto the list as well,
Yep. Cool.
about half. So it's really interesting.
Yes.
And so the way that they function is, if you have a look over at the second image, this is an image of basically a power network, and it branches out. So it starts in the center, which is basically the generation of power, and then you kind of see
That's a nice visual.
pretty quickly it moves out to the first layer of orange. And so that's the first layer of STEM infrastructure. I'll explain this in a minute.
Yeah.
But that's the first layer of STEM infrastructure, which is called FTM, which is front of the meter. And then there's a few other layers there. There's some substations, and then there's some distribution generators. And then you'll find, which is basically like in real world, it would be kind of like a generation location, which then goes to STEM infrastructure, which holds it in, say, individual cities, which is then distributed to the next layer, which is another STEM layer,
Yeah.
which is inside. These are battery systems
So
inside.
the stem of the orange. Yeah.
Stem of the orange,
dots.
and these.
Yeah.
So the outer layer are individual locations, so individual business who have adopted this infrastructure. Okay. So the first layer is basically utilities who have adopted the infrastructure, and then the outer layer is individual businesses, and I'll get into that in a second. So STEM is the first pure play smart energy storage company to go public in the US, again from their 2020 annual report. So the CEO is a guy named John Carrington. He's had 25 years in the industry, and a few other jobs that he did was he's the CEO and director at MyoSol, which they make thin solar cells. So he's got industry experience is what I'm trying to portray there.
Yeah.
he was the Executive Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for a company called First Solar, which are publicly listed. You can have a look at them. And he was a part of growing the company from 250 to 2 billion in revenue and finally to IPO, which is kind of cool. So he's seen that process before, which is really powerful. And he was the GM for a period of time at a company called General Electric, which is pretty famous.
Oh, yeah.
So noted there, obviously he's not a co-founder. So
GE was one of the largest, I think it was the top company in America at one stage.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting to see the date there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what date he was sort of the general manager, but maybe he was at that date. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he ran into the ground. No, I'm just kidding.
He could have. And so obviously I like the co-founder or the founder to be around because I think they have a personal, I don't know, there's like an emotional attachment to it that might drive the right decisions. And so the chairman is also a co-founder, and his name's Mike Morgan. So it's nice to have at least the chairman involved with the company since its foundations. So I think that's really powerful. So that's a little background on the company. They're headquartered in the US. And so in regards to what they provide, products and customer experience, it's three different things. So the first one is hardware. So it's the actual battery storage projects that they embark on, which we talked about earlier. And so they form two different locations. They form front of the meter, which is the utility providers, and then behind the meter, which is commercial, industrial businesses. So I'll again expand on that in a second. So the first thing was hardware. Second thing is software. So they've got a trademarked and proprietarized software called Athena, and Athena is basically built into all of their products, or they offer it in conjunction, I should probably say, with their battery solutions. And it can do things like optimize for weather forecasts, energy price management. It provides a great dashboard to see what's happening, value modeling and simulations.
Yep.
So basically, you stick a big old battery in your basement. It's not going to be much good to you unless it's optimized for what's happening with the grid at certain points in time, or how much power you're using at certain points in time, or if there's going to be a big weather situation where there's not going to be ability to generate solar and things like that.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of analytics that go behind
exactly.
all the grid,
a lot of
and
inputs and a lot of ability to analyze, and so that all is AI, and so to a certain extent happens automatically, and so it's kind of cool. And so the third thing, so it's hardware, software, and the third product the third revenue stream, I would say, is market participation, which is more simply selling back to the grid. And so in regards to customers, they've got a little over 360 customers. And so this is more business to business, I should mention at the moment. This is not direct to consumer at any point. And they've got more than 30 Fortune 500 companies listed as their customers. So in front of the meter is the utility providers. And so that was that first smaller ring that I was mentioning.
Yeah.
And so the value add to them for having their products is it increases their asset returns, and it supports grid stability. You can imagine having the ability to, if you're a distributor, you're basically taking power in from a larger generation source and distributing it to your local community. Having the ability to store that on site and use it as you need to, or if you foresee less power coming in from the main grid, being able to have that stored in reserves and being able to use that in volatile periods where its weather conditions are changing or whatever, means that it overall supports the grid stability. So I think that's really cool. And it also increases the asset returns, as I said. So the second layer, which was that larger circle, they call BTM, which is behind the meter.
Yep.
And this is commercial industrial partners that they have as customers. So some that you may have heard of: Amazon, Walmart, UPS, Apple, Facebook, Alphabet.
Oh, they've got big
Google,
customers. Nice.
Home Depot, Wells Fargo.
Wow.
And so the value add to these companies is it reduces their energy bill, as I'll explain in a second. And it's also those who have a corporate ESG objective, which is kind of like there's a lot of
Is that environmental sustainability and governance?
Environmental social governance.
Ah, so close.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of push nowadays for companies to be thinking along these lines, appointing people who are sort of strategic along these lines. And so this is a way for you to be able to put in your report, this is what we're doing to try and work along those lines. So if you have a look at the next image,
yes.
It's got 2 circles, this one, and then 2 graphs on the right.
I've lost where we are at. All right, you just continue.
So it's got 2 circles on the left and then 2 graphs on the right. And so the top portion of it is the behind-the-meter commercial and industrial customers. And the bottom graph, or the bottom portion of it, is the in front of the meter, which is the utility providers and stuff like that. So for the behind-the-meter guys, you can kind of see there, if you look hard, that when the energy... So the orange line is what the grid sees. So that's the consumption that you're using from the actual grid. And you can see there, if I just come in here and have a look, you can see there the battery is the darker portion of it. You can see the battery is charging when the grid is cheaper. So when the energy in the middle of the night or whatever is cheaper,
I see that. Yeah,
it charges. So you can see it drawing down charge. And then when it's more expensive in the middle of the day or whatever it is, then it's outputting. And so obviously it's a simple concept. Okay, cool. So you can see that the orange line is basically what the grid sees. So that's the grid power supplied. You can see the price there as it drops. The battery, which is the darker blue portion of the graph, is charging. It's taking some power, which is overall boosting the facility's consumption of power. So you can see facility reaches above that orange line there. And then as the power becomes more expensive from the grid, then the battery is engaged and overall makes the facility's power consumption from the grid less, reducing costs, etc., etc., etc.
This is really clever because this is something that I've heard about for so many years as it's so much better to just have batteries because everyone's using the generator at the same time, having a shower at night and watching TV, and they're not home during the day and they're not awake in the middle of the night.
Correct.
So it's like, on average, it's just so much better, but it's like something you hear about so often, and then it's like, oh, is anyone actually doing anything for this, So it's a great opportunity.
I think it's awesome. So in regards to performance of the company itself, they state in the 2020 annual growth, in the 2020 annual report that they foresee in 2030, 25x growth of the storage market, which is due to 2 things. The first thing is lower cost of renewable generation. So as we start to figure out how to be more efficient with our solar and our wind and hydro and whatever it is that we're using to generate, that reduces the cost, and thus the demand increases. And the second input is the rapid battery hardware cost reductions. So this is actual parts of the battery that are becoming cheaper. It's the same thing with Teslas. At some point the Tesla's going to be...
you're going to like my company. It's
really?
It's pretty similar to this.
Perfect.
Yes, anyway.
So because of those 2 factors, they see much a high demand, and so they see a 25 times growth by 2030, which they see a $1.2 trillion market opportunity in this space, which is pretty amazing. So, a bit more about their company's financials. They've currently got $500 million in net cash available, with debt on the balance sheet being 0 after this merger.
Oh, wow.
So, it's pretty amazing. They're going to be able to expand and do, a lot of awesome stuff with the capital that they have on hand. Gross margins, this is really interesting. So, there's 3 that I talked about: hardware, software, and market participation in regards to revenue streams. Hardware... gross margin, so before operating expenses, is 10 to 30%, kind of average.
Yeah.
Software, do you want to guess?
70%.
80%.
They've got it ultra efficient.
And it's a recurring SaaS model too. So if I buy a battery from you, using my software is going to cost you X amount of dollars a month.
Now, how much does it average out to? Because their software could be... Oh, that's a big spider. Their software could be... taking up, they could also, they could be doing 10% worth of sales in the software space.
In regards to software versus hardware?
And and then the hardware averages at 10%, and then they could be averaging 15% revenue, margin, I mean. So
that's a good question. I don't have the breakdown.
Yeah.
I do have their...
Just let us know in the comments below if you're interested in researching that.
And the market participation, which is selling back to the grid, they also see a approximately 80% margin on that. There is a breakdown of what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
So revenue model.
You're already on it. Look at you go.
So 60% of it are basically hardware delivery.
Yeah. Cool.
Which the benefit to that is it's upfront. So whilst it's not recurring, it is upfront capital to be able to use.
Yeah, for sure.
The 30% is the recurring software model, and then somewhere like 10% is the market participation. Year-on-year growth, from 2019 to 2020, they saw 65% more projects for the hardware deliveries, and 94% greater revenue for 2020 since 2019, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they're expected to have a positive EBITDA, which is like the net profit, by 2022.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
So, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
so a lot of companies like to draw out their earnings to 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we're going to be making money by then. No worries.
Yeah,
and then like
it
2022 comes and
2025,
we're going to be profitable then.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm sure they will be there.
Okay. Well, I mean, this industry seems to be growing pretty quick.
True.
I don't know. Like the awareness of it's changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years.
I mean, I'm sure that they actually have a genuine model, like growing revenue like that and growing and having those margins. They're going to be doing, they're going to be doing all right.
Okay, so in regards to the SPAC that I mentioned, so the SPAC is currently on the market.
Would you say you like the SPAC?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
So they're merging. So yeah, STEM are merging with a SPAC called StarPeak Energy Transition.
Okay.
Which was founded in 2018, and it's expected to happen early Q2 2021. They actually did originally say They originally did say Q1.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think they're now saying Q2, and the ticker change will change from STPK, which it currently says, to STEM. It's on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah. Cool.
So StarPeak's CEO is Eric Shiva, and he's 52, and his previous experience is in the investment banking world. But the really interesting thing is he also was previously a researcher in oil, gas, and natural gas sectors.
Yeah.
So he also understands the industry, but also understands the investment side of it. And he's the co-founder of StarPeak Sponsor LLC, which gets a bit convoluted, but that company is a holding company and has a 20% ownership of StarPeak.
Okay.
Right. And so he does have some skin in the game. So I would see his personal stake to be somewhere around 10%. And so the business strategy says, which is really cool, business strategy for StarPeak says, identify, combine with, and maximize the value of a company seeking to be a market leader in and or benefit from the increasing global incentives to improve the efficiency of our energy ecosystems and reduce emissions, which are referred to as the energy transition. So that's why they call it StarPeak Energy Transition, because they see a transition from the current energy sources to the new ones, and they want to find a company that can basically make use of that, make profit from that, whatever. Some acquisition criteria for the company that they chose had to be well positioned to benefit from the energy transition. Positive environmental social impacts without sacrificing a financial return. Will benefit from our management team's operating expertise. Have opportunities to grow the business organically and via third-party acquisitions. Well received by public investors, including ESG-focused investors, which is what we mentioned before, environment, social governance. Expected to generate attractive risk-adjusted returns for our stockholders. So the greater the risk, the more returns expected.
Yeah.
On the income statement, a really interesting one for 2020, there's three. So obviously it's a holding company, it's a shell company. It's a shell company at the moment. And so there's $3 million of general expenses for 2020 that I had to look at. And I was like, I wonder what that is. Like, I wonder if that is the fee paid to like the joint managers to, affect the merger. Do you think it'd be like $3 million? I don't know. Like, I was just thinking, what are they spending $3 million on for like general administration expenses? I don't know.
Well, you got to pay an investment bank a lot of money.
That's what I was thinking. You reckon that's the payment?
IPOs are usually gigantic. I think
well, this is like a merger.
Yeah, a lot of the appeal on a SPAC is that it's cheaper than an IPO. So $3 million sounds a lot cheaper than an IPO.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So could be true. So the market cap at IPO was 436 mil. Current market cap, want to guess?
Ooh, so hang on, IPO. Sorry, what was your
436 million.
436 million.
IPO.
All right, this is a pretty huge area, and it looks like they've got some huge, like the massive power output stuff. I'm going to say that their current market cap is.
This is the shell company, obviously. This is the SPAC.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that their current market cap is 20 billion.
Holy moly!
What is it? What?
1.3.
Okay, right. I thought it was a huge. It's producing more than Tesla.
No, but they haven't merged yet.
Okay, yeah, I know they haven't merged yet, but once people expect it to merge, like.
Also, have you heard anyone talk about this company?
It's true, I haven't.
Yeah.
Some of them fly out under the radar.
It's true.
Yeah.
Share price started at $10. It's currently $27.40.
Okay.
180% increase. So since August, which is when IPO'd,
yep,
it's seen a 180% increase. And the manager, Credit Suisse and Goldman Sachs for the merger. And
good old Goldman.
The ownership of STPK currently is less than 1% individual insiders because, as I mentioned, the insider owns 20% of the holding company.
The holding company, yeah.
Which falls into the institutions portion of this, which is 64%. And so Starpeak Sponsorship LLC, which is that holding company, it owns 20%. Citigroup recently announced, earlier this week, that they bought significantly less than 1%.
Yeah.
But it's still a fair bit. I think it's something like 47,000 shares. The general public own 15% and public companies 20%. So in summing it up, I think it's a cool company. I like it because I think it plays in a cool space. And it's not a hype company.
Yeah, that's true.
Too much.
Yeah.
There is obviously still some niche hype around that, but it's it's not one of these crazy solar companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Thanks.
He likes the SPAC.
I like it.
All right, cool.
Nice.
All right, so my company.
Yeah.
This is gonna be some good stuff.
I'm excited.
All right, so are you ready for this? This one is.
Yeah.
Here's the surprise.
Okay.
Also a SPAC. Also a SPAC. And here's the fun part.
Okay.
You know how you're doing 2 segments, I'm doing 1 segment?
Yes.
I'm actually doing a mega segment. I'm doing a car inside my segment. And here's why.
It's Nikola.
It's not Nikola. It is known as the company Lucid Motors.
I've never heard of it.
Lucid Motors you've never heard of.
No.
Okay, so Lucid Motors.
This is good.
Lucid Motors is the company, and the SPAC name is Churchill Capital 4.
Really?
So Churchill Capital is the company that runs it. They've only done a couple of small deals before.
Yep.
So they've done 3, obviously, SPACs in the last couple of years.
What's their ticker?
So it's CCIV is the...
CCIV.
Is
okay.
the so Churchill Capital 4 is in
cool.
Roman numerals.
Oh, cool.
And so, obviously the other ones were CC3 and, III or something.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it's a very interesting one. So Lucid Motors. So they're another electric vehicle startup, but this one I like significantly more than a lot of electric vehicle manufacturers. Okay. I wouldn't say that I like it more than Tesla. Yep. But are
they American?
Yeah. Okay. So out of all of the startups, I really think this one shows a lot of promise.
Really?
I actually
cool.
I bought a couple of
really.
So I bought a couple of weeks ago. I bought a few.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a hype one.
Okay.
So I've lost a bit on it so far because it's pumping and dumping heaps.
Yeah.
Which is annoying. And side note, Luke used up my freaking capital buying GameStop as a joke last night when we were hanging out, and I forgot to cancel the order. And
so you bought it this morning? So
I bought it last night and immediately dumped it because I was like, I have to get rid of this straight away. 17% return on the 1 day gain because he bought it.
That you didn't get.
He bought I got it.
Oh.
So I dumped it as soon as I saw it because I looked at it straight away. Yeah. I was looking at it at 12. I got an email.
So you've got more money.
Yes, I've got more money, but I have to wait for 2 days to actually use my money to buy
you don't
the,
have black. I
the
bought
SPAC.
black.
Okay, all right. Unsettled trades. Anyway, we both use a broker called Stake.
Yeah.
Hit us up for a reference.
Definitely hit us up.
Yeah.
I got a free GoPro the other day.
Yes.
It went up heaps, but then I sold it because... Yeah.
I've got 2 people that didn't have proper banks, and so they had to transfer in. I'm still following up with their support team because I don't have a... I didn't get my 2 free stocks. Anyway.
True.
That's beside the point. So anyway, this is really cool. So their CEO and CTO, I really like this guy.
Okay.
So he's the founder.
Is he the CEO and CTO?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And he
cool.
is.
And he's the founder.
Yes. And
this is great.
He's worked at Tesla, Jaguar,
Come
and Lotus.
on.
So,
and what?
And Lotus.
Oh wow.
So
this is awesome.
His previous role, Vice President of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla. The role before that, Chief Engineer of the Model S. So this is a really cool role.
Wow.
Some of the other key roles I saw in their investor presentation: Senior VP of Design, has experience in high level at Mazda and Audi.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. VP of Finance was previously the cost optimization guy at Ford.
Yep.
They've got a couple of people from Tesla. They've got a few people in their digital team from Apple, which is great.
That's really good.
Because they've got, you know, Apple is obviously, they're going to have great.
Yeah, they have an awesome digital presence.
User interface and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They had a couple of random other, they had a couple of other a lot of Audi production people, which is great. So the combination of Audi and Tesla is what this car is kind of going for.
Oh my gosh!
So this is the deal finance side of it. I'm going to start with. So obviously CCIV, Churchill Capital 4.
Yep.
It's the so it's obviously not merged into one yet.
Yep.
I think that's happening later in the second half of this year.
Oh wow! Okay.
So yeah, it's got a little bit of lead time. I think it could be as early as June, but I'm not actually sure if there's a confirmed date yet.
Yeah.
So I've heard as early as June is literally the phrase.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they've handled 3 other SPACs, obviously.
Do you know when they IPO'd? This SPAC?
So this one is from this SPAC. Well, it's from ages ago, but it was zero move. It's not from ages ago. Sorry, I should rephrase that. It's from I think July last year or something.
Okay,
that
that's
the thing was
wild.
actually made.
Yeah.
But it was literally just between $9.47 and $10
And I assume they didn't have an acquisition target.
Yeah, and so there was no announcements or anything like that. It was literally just complete blank check. No one knows what it is.
Yeah.
And it was just bouncing between $9 and $10
It's
essentially.
funny. Yeah.
And so not much activity there. 'Cause it's not a real thing.
No.
So they've handled the other SPACs they've done were a $4 billion merger, a $1.7 billion merger, and an $11 billion merger.
Wow.
So pretty decent track record.
Yeah.
So they've done it a couple of times before. It's not their first
True.
rodeo.
Yeah.
So so far Churchill have capital raised 4 times off this.
Yep.
So the first one was in July 2020, $2.1 billion. I'm assuming that's right when they kicked it off.
Yep.
The next one was $500 million, December 2020.
Yep.
Now, since the price didn't move until the 6th of January, I'm assuming that all of these are private capital raisings with zero public knowledge of the ticker or anything like that.
Yeah.
They raised $550 million in February. Then they raised $1.4 billion again in February.
Wow.
And so they're currently at $23.02, which is a valuation of $5.9 billion.
Oh wow.
So that's up 130% from where it was sitting on the 6th of Jan, which was $10.01.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm going to go into revenue and sales. So there's no solid sales record yet because it's so new. So it doesn't actually have solid financials.
Oh, as in Lucid?
Yeah, Lucid Motors.
Oh, okay, they haven't sold anything.
So they haven't actually made any sales.
Okay.
So it doesn't have solid financials at all. It's a very loose early stage investment.
Like Nikola?
Well, Nikola I don't like because I don't think they even had a plan to make any money.
Yeah, they were going to make trucks, weren't they?
Yeah, well, yeah. All right, they had a loose plan to make money.
Sorry.
But here's the difference. They've got pre-orders.
Ah.
And that shows that people believe that they're going to receive their thing. So I think that they currently have 7,500 pre-orders.
Wow.
At an average sale price of $87,000 USD.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which means that they have $650 million in future sales already on the books. So they've secured that with a deposit. So there are people that are actually paying for it. So it's real money that's changing hands.
Yeah.
So that means that there's actual demand instead of pretend $100 deposit.
Yes.
You know, although their lowest deposit amount is $300, I think.
Oh, really?
But there is the top of the line spec, which I'll get into later, is a $7,500 deposit.
Wow.
So people are serious about that.
Yeah, that's pretty serious.
So that represents a price to sales of about 9x, which is it's still a bit speculative, but you know, that's if they're going to make 7,500 units in the first year.
Okay.
So it's not too bad, considering that Tesla has a market cap of $593 billion.
Yep.
And they've got a price to sales of 18.8, so almost 19 times sales.
Yep.
So they're about double. So Tesla is about double Lucid.
Okay.
So in terms of like valuation and where they're at now, but the whole idea is they ramp it up, obviously, with Lucid.
Yes.
But we don't actually know where earnings are yet, because there hasn't been a chance to run production yet.
Correct.
I'm going to go into this is an interesting one. So this is their marketing position and their design.
Okay.
Before I even go into the product.
Okay.
So this is cool because instead of the way that they've phrased it, it's post luxury. So the way that they've phrased it is, instead of opulence and indulgence, which is what I would define from their pictures and all that kind of stuff, what I would define as bougie and showy.
Yep.
So that's what it is LED lights on your Maybach, and buying a Maybach in general, and having chains and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So the
bling.
Yeah, so the design focus is on elegance and modernity, is what it says.
Modernity?
Yes, which I haven't heard of before. So the way
Nor have I.
The way that I would define it there is minimalist and classy. Mm-hmm. Because
that's cool.
The picture that comes with the
that's a bit similar to Tesla, though, right?
Well, all right. The picture that comes with it is, it's very California. Like, here we go. Here's what it is. I'll pump up this brightness for you. So that's what it looks like, it's pretty interesting. It takes a minute to get your head around the kind of design, but I actually think I really like it after I've watched a lot of videos on it, and I've watched the CEO. There's a really good.
It's very round.
Yes, so there's a good video where the CEO takes it for a drive through the hills in San Francisco.
Interesting.
And it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can see the appeal here.
All right.
I can see the appeal. It's it's quite a nice design.
It's a reasonable price. I mean, we haven't heard any specs or anything.
Well, wait until you hear this.
Okay.
All right, so we're onto the product. So this is more slightly where I would start to delve into car review stage.
Yep.
So we've got one product line at the moment, which is the Lucid Air, which is so Air is the main name, and there
How
are
do you spell that?
Just AI Air.
Ah, okay,
yeah,
something weird.
I just said AI Air. AIR.
Yes.
So there are 4 models of the Lucid Air to be released.
Yep.
The Dream Edition is the top spec dual motor.
Wow, how's these names?
It is so it's a dual motor with 1,080 horsepower, 500 miles of range.
1,080 horsepower?
Yeah, 1,080.
500 miles?
500 miles. So it aims to be the most efficient, and they've got a prototype.
That's
which
better
does
than
that.
That's like better than the Model S Plaid.
Yeah, so that's the idea. So it's the whole idea of the company is to be better than the Model S Plaid.
Or Plaid.
Plaid as
Elon says it,
would say.
He's definitely saying it wrong.
Yeah. So it's got So then the next one is the Grand Touring, which is the next step down. So sorry, the Dream Edition is 161,500.
161.
USD.
Okay.
The Grand Touring.
That's more expensive than a Plaid.
Yeah.
But it's better.
Yeah, it's the whole idea is that they're building a literally better car.
Yeah.
The Grand Touring is the next step down.
Yep.
It's got 800 horsepower, dual motor, and 500 mile range still.
Okay.
And its price is 131,000.
Okay. That's all right.
The next one down is the Touring, which is 620 horsepower,
yeah,
400 mile range, and 87,500.
Yeah.
And the base model is 480 horsepower, 400 mile range, and it's from $69,900.
Yeah, right.
So pretty
69,000.
Cool. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
entry level model. I like it.
So it's definitely on the same Model S kind of level as
69,000 is like that'd be Model 3 price, right?
Yeah. I think the Model S is 69,000.
Is it?
Yeah, he made it 69,420.
Oh, did he?
As a joke.
Okay, right.
So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's US prices for you though. So
Yes.
it's a lot lower than.
Yes.
You got a spider on your shoulder. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, that's the product range is the 2021 platform that I'm talking about now. So that's the Lucid Air, which is the sedan.
Yep.
Project Gravity is the next is the second project, which is the larger SUV project.
Yeah, sick.
So that's hoping to launch in 2023.
Oh, wow, that's a fair way.
Yeah. So it's 2021 now. You got to think.
Did you mention there when they thought they were going to have something off the production line?
Well, I have that. I have a section on their factory.
Okay, perfect. No
which is a really cool. It's good to see a factory in place already.
Yes.
So there are instead of Nikola, or I don't know what I should stop talking about Nikola until I know what the facts are. There are 32 sensors around the car which are planning to be used for autonomous driving.
Yep.
So I'm assuming. I haven't looked into this deeply yet, but I'm assuming LiDAR systems.
Yeah, probably.
So 32 sensors which are planning to be used. So they're going to collect data across all the fleet before they roll out a wireless update for everyone for autonomous driving stuff.
Oh, so it's same as Tesla.
So they're not,
just drive it around for a bit, get some information.
Because they want to make sure that they don't launch it with autonomous driving.
Yeah.
And then it's terrible and it crashes.
So that's interesting. Obviously, you got a lot more there, but so it really puts into perspective how far behind Tesla they really are, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Okay.
But what you're saying before is that Tesla, like they're so far behind Tesla.
Yeah.
If the chief engineer at Tesla thinks that he can beat Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as concerned.
Yeah. I mean, yes. We're assuming he thinks that. Yes. He may just see. I mean, yeah.
All right. So
his intention, his requirement might not be to beat Tesla.
Yes. So that's actually an interesting point.
Yeah.
So he actually said that he's not competing with Tesla as a what he actually wants to. So he's competing for performance specs against Tesla.
Yeah.
But his market isn't Tesla.
Oh.
So he's going after BMW and Mercedes drivers.
Yeah.
And if you look at the car, so actually there's a picture of the Lucid between a Mercedes and a BMW, and they're the top spec things.
Yep.
And I actually think
it fits in.
Looking at it from there, I'm like, wow, this is actually a nice design.
Yeah.
It's more modern.
Okay.
It's look at how future driven we're looking here.
Okay, so it feels like a natural progression. Like you drive a nice looking BMW, then the next car you're going to buy is going to be this Lucid Air Dream Edition or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one.
Okay.
I've got
I should mention across the road here.
Yeah.
A really, really nice Range Rover. Rover just pulled in.
Yeah.
It's all black.
Yeah.
It looks insane. Or Vogue. Do you call it Vogue? I think the Range Rover just...
I think it's Vogue, yeah.
Yeah, Vogue, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
People are getting out now.
Yeah.
So nice.
Oh, he's wearing a suit.
There's a
Volvo right behind him too.
Nice Volvo. Next to that in the driveway is an AMG, huge Mercedes.
Yes. And that ugly house too.
In a very ugly house.
Yeah.
A nice spot though. You can see the view from here.
So strange. What a strange design.
Oh, it must be an Airbnb. They've all been at a wedding or something.
Yeah, true. Yep. They're all coming back for an afternoon snack before the for the reception.
Jeez.
So we've got I forgot what we were talking about before, but
you were saying that it feels like a natural progression for people who drive BMWs.
Yeah, the design.
So that's cool. So he's saying basically when he was working at Tesla, he potentially saw a bit of a gap in the market.
Yeah.
They weren't chasing those customers.
So there's a picture with BMW on one side, Mercedes on one side, and they're all side by side shots.
Yeah.
And then it's parked in between like parallel.
Yeah.
And it looks quite nice there. And I'm like, oh, actually that's kind of cool. It's shorter than the big, like, because it's supposed to be like an S500 killer kind of thing, like or a BMW 7 Series killer.
Yeah.
And I actually think that those or both of those looking next to it are starting to look outdated.
Okay.
Because they're just a big sedan.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, it's like, oh, people still buying those, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great.
I guess it's your chauffeur car, I guess.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be the most efficient electric vehicle ever, which I delved into briefly before. 17% further than the Tesla Model S long range on the same sized battery pack.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's one thing that he really wanted to focus on, which is not putting more and more batteries and then saying it's more efficient.
Yeah.
He wanted to actually make it more
technology.
efficient.
That's sick.
So that's attributed to the lightness of the drivetrain and the more dense concept than other options.
Okay.
So I was watching a little an explanation where they said that they used a computer simulator to look at the electromagnetic forces around the engine so that they could work out optimal cooling, which meant that they could make a more compact drivetrain. Obviously connecting the battery packs and the engines and the and all that, all that stuff. So they could make a more compact, more dense model. Which is how they made it more dense, and then they got rid of some of the excess weight that a Tesla would have. So
that's awesome.
Here's another cool factor for you. So it's got some impressive acceleration and top speed.
I'm keen.
So here is a screenshot that I'm going to show you. So we've got a comparison between the Lucid Air Dream Edition, their other Lucid Air one, the Tesla Model S Long Range, the Tesla Model S Plaid, and the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. So here we've got top speed. So what we can see here is that the Lucid Air Dream Edition, the top of the spec, is 168 miles an hour, which is faster than the Tesla Model S Long Range, but it's not quite there on the 200 mile per hour is the Tesla Model S Plaid. So it's 200 versus 168 on the Lucid Air. But if you look at it versus the Taycan, the Porsche is 161 miles an hour versus 168 on the Lucid. So it's faster than the Porsche on the top speed, which is pretty cool. They're both dual motor versus dual motor.
So it only wins the range battle though, doesn't it?
It beats the Porsche there, but yes, it wins the range battle, and it doesn't beat the acceleration, obviously. So it
doesn't beat the top speed either.
Yeah, so it doesn't beat the top speed or the acceleration. Yeah, but it's showing it how similar.
It is very, very, very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, just give us the figures of the top range.
So
top of the line.
Top of the line range is 503 miles.
Top speed.
517 is their best.
The
range.
Grand Touring. Yeah.
Yep, and top speed is 168 miles an hour.
Okay.
And their 0 to 60 time on the best Lucid is 2.5 seconds.
Okay.
So the 0 to 60 time on the Model S Plaid is 1.99.
Yeah. That's crazy fast.
The whole idea of that is obviously that's halfway between the standard Tesla Model S and the Model S Plaid.
I mean, it's still insane.
Yeah, and it's faster than the Porsche at I think it's 2.6. Yeah, 2.6 there. Yeah. So yeah, it's some pretty cool stats for this, and he's got he showed the prototype actually doing that, so it's pretty cool. In the little video. Yeah. So I've got the interior is 3 internal displays. Yeah. The back seats can lay all the way back for comfort, so they actually they're actually kind of a lot like a first class airplane seat. Yeah, cool. I think it's 4 seats.
It's armrest in the middle.
Yeah, so it's a very nice, spacious design. Yeah. The time to charge is also class leading. Mm-hmm. So it's got 20 minutes for 300 miles.
Wow.
Versus the Tesla Model S, 15 minutes for 200 miles.
That's sick.
So, and then also the Porsche Taycan obviously doesn't win, so it's 23 minutes for 160 miles on the Porsche. Yep. So, 20 minutes for 300 miles, so it beats that. Yep. And one of the reasons it beats that is the infrastructure that they're setting up is better than the Tesla supercharger stations.
Really?
So, yeah.
So they're not going to utilize the Tesla stations. I know Tesla was saying that they were going to allow other companies to use their stuff.
No, because it's not fast enough for...
It's not fast enough.
For what this...
Jeez, they've got a lot of work. I'm just saying they've got a lot of work.
They do have a lot of work.
Goodness gracious me.
Let's get into some of the work that they have done. So I'm going to go into the factory.
Yes, please.
So they've currently got a factory... Well, they've got 2 factories built. Okay. So they're building and running prototype manufacturing at the moment in Arizona. Oh yeah. So they're on track to beginning full scale production in the second half of 2021. Okay. So they had a clean slate factory that they built from the ground up. Yep. Which means that they could use all the production experience from Tesla, Audi, other car companies.
That's cool.
And they could combine all that knowledge and make the best possible layout.
Awesome.
For their start. Yeah. The factory is called AMP1, which means Advanced Manufacturing Plant 1. Yep. And that's just for body shell manufacturing, painting, and assembly. Yep. And then their second factory is called, it's just down the road from that one.
Yep.
It's called LMP1, which is the Lucid Powertrain Manufacturing. So that's where they make different battery modules, battery packs, integrated drive units, transmission, differentials, and power inverters.
Yeah.
And as well as some of the other technical pieces.
Yeah.
So they've managed to build phase 1 of LMP1, which is where the bottleneck is in terms of production. So obviously they can only, because that's the chassis.
So AMP1's done.
AMP1. So they're both complete.
Oh. Okay.
So they're both fully complete functioning factories,
Right.
but phase 1 of LMP1 is done. So they can currently build 34,000 units a year in LMP1, which at an average sale price of $87K means they could be generating $2.9 billion in revenue.
So what do Tesla want to do? They want to do $500,000 in a year, don't they? Isn't that their goal?
I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry.
But that does sound good. I would like it if they did that much. I am a Tesla shareholder as well. So they currently can build 34,000 units, but they're already building phase 2, which will add an additional 90,000 units.
Wow.
They've got phase 3 and 4 in the plans, but obviously I haven't counted that. But that would lead to a total units of 385K.
With all the phases.
With all the phases, but obviously that's a long way down the track.
Okay.
That's like 2030 that they would have that ready.
Ooh.
But the thing is, they're already in place to be making 2.9 billion in revenue, and they've already got 650 million.
So if I'm right,
worth
though,
of revenue sold.
and I could be wrong, and Tesla are intending to make 500,000 in a year this year.
Yes.
And you're telling me that Lucid can make 350 odd by 2030.
Yeah.
There's a pretty big disparity.
Well, the whole idea is it's that high-end luxury again.
Okay, so they don't need the volume.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think about their average sale price of 87,000.
Okay, yeah, Tesla's going to drop right down there.
The standard Tesla Model S is 69,000.
Yeah.
And they're selling more Model 3s, obviously, and Model Ys, which are 30,000 USD or whatever. So they're obviously at an average sale price. They still have to ramp up all that volume to get there. Whereas these guys are already building, if everyone bought their dream, top of the line dream, they would be paying 160,000, and they don't have to produce that many to make much. It's pretty cool. So they're building phase 2 now. Yeah. In 2018, the whole luxury car market was valued at $296 billion.
Oh, okay.
They're expecting to grow to $733 billion by 2026.
Wow.
And at that point, Lucid aims to have 0.7% of the luxury car market.
No way.
So they're
that's crazy.
They're looking at that to ramp up.
Yep.
Here's some additional stuff. They've got the first two-way charging battery on the market, which means that they can take power from your house and they can put power into your house.
Okay.
So as a battery, they can be functioning as a battery, or they can take power from your Tesla Powerwall or something like that and put it back in if they want to.
Okay.
And their network is called. So they have a partnership with Electrify America, which is a competitor for Tesla superchargers that are set up all around. So they've got green superchargers around everywhere, and they're building those.
Oh, okay. So this is a third party that do they build for other car manufacturers?
So I think you have to partner with them, and then
right. Okay.
And then
so they're not going to have to go out and build all of these.
Yeah. So obviously they're outsourcing that, and they can just have a contract with them, and
might cost them more.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They couldn't do it themselves, though. Yeah, right.
The Tesla supercharger network has 400 volts and max 250 kilowatt capacity.
Yeah.
Electrify America has 900 volts and 350 kilowatt system.
Okay.
Which is how they get more faster charging.
Yeah.
And they call it they call that the second mover advantage.
Okay.
Because they've seen what Tesla have done.
And they can build on it.
And then they're like, hey, let's build something better than this. Now we know how to build something better.
Ooh, this is crazy. I haven't really thought about this much.
Keep that momentum going.
That's really interesting. Okay, so Tesla have really got a battle on their hands here. I've never thought about, it's all about having a great car.
Yeah, because you often think, oh, yeah, well, Tesla already have a supercharger network. Like, they're better than everyone else. But they're not, because they have not got the,
Well, I mean, they're further ahead, but they for them to pivot or change, they're now too big. They can't decide that they want to do some new battery technology that requires 900 volts, to charge it. Wow, that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more than double the.
We'll see how this
more
goes.
than double the voltage, and way more kilowatts.
It could be just componentry that Tesla can swap out within their charging stations to up it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to make a plan.
Yeah.
They will.
Well, they'll have to.
Wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't think too much.
Awesome. Okay, that all makes sense.
And that is the end of my segment.
That's sick. So, interesting thing is, I'm talking about an electric vehicle.
Which one?
This one's made by Audi.
Oh,
it's Audi's first ever EV.
Right, cool.
Sorry, I should say EV vehicle.
EV vehicle.
Okay, cool. So this is called the Audi RS E-Tron GT.
Yes, e-tron. They love that e-tron brand.
Yes. Have you heard of this before?
I've heard of the e-tron
brand.
Because I've seen it on a couple. Well, apparently I haven't seen it on a couple of things.
No, I don't think you should have seen a fully EV. E-tron might be like, they might also brand their hybrids or something with e-tron. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's their first ever fully electric vehicle, so there's no engine or anything. And so it's obviously to compete with the Model S and the Taycan.
Yeah.
And whatever this thing is.
The Lucid Air.
The Lucid Air. And the actually interesting thing is it shares the platform with the Porsche Taycan.
Oh, yeah.
So it's they share the chassis design and stuff like that. And so there's two versions. There's a base model and an RS version. So you can get the RS or the normal. So the base model is the equivalent of the Taycan 4S. And it's got 525 horsepower, 3.9 seconds to 100. The RS version is the equivalent, of the Taycan Turbo, which is 637 horsepower for this RS version.
Yeah.
And to put that in perspective, so 637 horsepower versus Model S Plaid, 1,020 horsepower.
Yeah.
Taycan Turbo S, 750 horsepower. Audi RS6, just to throw it in the mix there, 590 horsepower.
Yeah.
So it's going to be higher than an Audi RS6. So for Audi, Stop
saying Aldi.
Yeah, sorry, it's bad.
Not Aldi.
It's momentous for them, but they're still, I think, they're coming into the market at the bottom of the market, which is fine. The pricing's not bad. So it's all drive. Range is a big issue. Range is 385 kilometers.
385 kilometers.
So to put that in perspective, the Model S Plaid has 630 kilometer range.
Yes.
So it's pretty bad. The Taycan, which is notorious for not having a great range, is 400 kilometers. So it's still more.
Yeah. It's worse than a Lucid.
Yes, it's by far worse than a Lucid. You're absolutely right. And so pricing for the base model, it's $100K USD, and for the RS model, it's $140K USD. Now, I would usually interpret this into AUD, but because this is a 2022 car, it's not even been announced in Australia.
Yeah.
And so I can't even find Australian pricing, and you can't just convert it because
there's so many different things.
So many other taxes and stuff to bring something here, so it's not really worth converting. So I'll give you it all in US dollars. So it's 100 and 140 for the RS. To put that in perspective, the Model S Plaid Edition is 142. So it's $2,000 more for 1,000 horsepower over 500 and what did I say the range was? And 600 kilometer range over 380 kilometer range. It doesn't make a lot of sense there. The Taycan Turbo S is 185 grand, so it's the most expensive and has the worst range. Has a worse range than the Plaid. And the RS6, for example, in the US is 147,000. So it's cheaper than the RS6. So if we're looking at this solely at the Audi range, then they've outdone themselves because it's faster and cheaper than the RS6.
Yeah.
Equivalent.
And Audi, people that love Audis.
And people who love Audi, who are just in a tunnel vision, it's the next progression. So it'll get a lot of hype from that. But people who are coming into the EV space for the first time from a random car, I don't see them getting a lot of market share from that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. It looks great. It looks a bit like an RS7.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome looking car. And so it's a fastback design, so that RS7's fastback.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's not it's not really a hatchback. So it's in the RS7, the whole back opens, and like if you're sitting in the back seat, you almost look out to the sky kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's just like a little boot thing that opens.
Right.
So
okay.
it's kind of like
It's wasted space.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
And
I don't like that.
It obviously has a front compartment with a bit of space for a small...
frunk.
A frunk, yeah, a frunk. I used to have a frunk in a car that I used to drive.
True, in the MR2.
Yeah. And so it has a front compartment. You can fit a little suitcase in there. It's got badges on the back. It's got like a black RS badge on the left.
Yep.
And then an E-Tron GT on the right. And Audi are pretty specific about saying that RS comes first. It has to come first in how you say it, and even how it's like portrayed on the back of the car.
Yep.
Tail lights, got the big light bar at the back, just like the Taycan, and we've seen in a few Porsches. And it obviously has the swooshy turn signals.
The swooshy ones, yeah.
Because you have to have swooshies. It doesn't have a front grille, which is it's really interesting to see what companies are doing.
Oh.
You know, because EVs don't need the front grille.
Yeah.
There's no...
Yeah. What are they going to do with that space now, though?
Yeah, so what are they doing? So they've kind of done like a hexagonal pattern thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like a kind of a three-dimensional thing, which basically looks like a grille. So they haven't really been super creative. You can get it painted body color instead of black.
Oh, yeah.
And then it makes the front of the car look really, really different.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. It's got some sensors at the front. It's not autonomous by any means. And so it has a rear spoiler that you can raise manually, carbon fiber roof, which is kind of cool.
I think one of the things with... So Tesla, obviously, all these electric vehicle-only companies have the mad hype crazy problem, which is like everyone's buying the stock because it's crazy, it's a hype, it's a hype thing. Everyone's buying the car because they're like, this is so cool, this is really sick.
Mm-hmm.
Even though a superior company like Audi builds something... Yep. And then the problem with Audi building that electric car and being so late to the game is that they've got, a quarter of the range, half the range, whatever, and not as much power, and they're like way behind the ball, and they're like, what do we do now? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's interesting because if you looked at the graph of like the technology of vehicles, they're like right on it. They're probably way above it. To be honest, first ever EV, and they come out with something that does rival some of these other ones and has a reasonable range. Like if it was the first ever EV to be released and you could drive almost 400 Ks, everyone would be fairly impressed. But
that's true. Yeah.
They've just been blindsided by these companies who've just spearheaded into that space, like Tesla, and absolutely blown all these other companies out of the market. So, and then not to mention they have no autonomous ability. I'm sure there's someone working on it, or I'm sure there's a platform that they are wanting to, they might purchase at a later date and install in their vehicles or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is they've got the opposite of hype, because now they're an old grandfather company. Yeah. And so now it's a negative perception almost of, they're making an electric vehicle. Like, I don't want to buy that.
No.
So that's an issue.
It makes it, I don't know what Tesla do with this, but people have an issue with the electric vehicles and pedestrians because they don't make any noise.
Oh, yeah.
So the Audis make this whirring noise. I had a listen on a YouTube video. It kind of sounds a bit like standing in a server room. There's all the fans going and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that kind of noise. I think the Teslas make a cooler, more spaceship kind of noise.
Oh yeah.
And so I kind of like them. Because I think it's actually just a generated noise.
Just projecting something.
Yeah. And so in regards to the interior, it's got like red stitching and RS seats and heaps of carbon fiber trim inside.
Yeah.
They were really specific in saying, because their market, again, what we were talking about, it's people progressing in their Audi ownership. So every year they go to the dealership and they just buy the next car, or the company does, or whatever the arrangement is. For that reason, they actually have purposely not blown it out of the water, so they haven't really changed the interior that much. Because then they've also lost that audience. Yeah. Like if someone who buys an Audi RS5, then goes on to buy this e-tron, and they hop in and it doesn't even seem like any car they've ever driven before, then they're like, well, I just buy anything at this point because it doesn't feel like my car. Yeah. So for that reason, it's a bit sad, but they've basically kept the interior the same as their standard cars. It was an opportunity for them to go wild, but they haven't. And maybe it's for the right reasons. It's for, revenue reasons. So it's still got RS on the door sills and normal RS key, normal RS steering wheel. gear selector's a bit different. It doesn't have a park. And so you just kind of, it's like a little button that you push forward. In the middle is neutral and you push back for drive. It's kind of interesting. It has automatic parallel parking, but my 2017 Commodore had that.
Yeah.
It has a red start button.
2017 Commodore.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't know it was that new.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one. It has a little circle in the center console, kind of where you'd have your hand resting when you're driving, and just picture, the old iPods, not the shuffles, but the iPods with the screen, and then it's got this round thing.
Yeah.
And like the middles enter. If you spin like this, it turns the volume up.
Yeah, that's great.
This is next song. That's previous song.
Yeah.
It literally, they've taken that technology and they've put it in the center console, and it's like this quick adjust for audio functions.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I thought that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It keeps it simple, but it also feels like old technology. The Audis usually have a dual center screen. Top is infotainment, and then the bottom is usually like climate control settings, all on a touchscreen. They've removed that touchscreen and they've gone back to standard buttons for climate control.
Okay.
Because they think that is more coherent with the driver, and their focus on this car is driver focus. It needs to be tactile.
Yeah.
And so that's the intention there. There's a bunch of USB-C ports, which is probably one of the things that tips its hat to some modern technology.
Yeah.
And then some drive modes is efficiency, comfort, dynamic, and individual, where you can customize what you want. Now, probably the most interesting talking point on this car is the shift paddles.
Yeah.
Because this car does not have a transmission.
It's just like is it a one gear?
Yeah.
Do electric vehicles work with a one?
Yeah, it's just like a single drive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not even a transmission.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have a transmission, but what it allows you to do is it cycles between recuperation levels. So what that means is you can either have coasting, where you're like kind of in your top gear and you're just coasting along, and there's no regenerative braking when you lift off the accelerator.
Oh yeah. Or
you can have the feeling of being in first or second gear, because when you lift off the accelerator, it's like one pedal driving is what they call it.
Yeah.
It starts regeneratively braking. And so the characteristics of the car feel more like you're in first, second gear.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Hang
on.
So yeah, the paddles allow you to flip through different levels of regenerative braking. So it makes you feel like you're in first, second kind of thing when it has a lot. And so that's kind of interesting.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I mean, people who drive this car probably don't even think twice about it. They probably think they're actually changing gears and stuff.
True. And they just have to play some engine noises through the speakers, and everyone will just think.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know.
Yeah, they're driving it.
It has the standard Audi infotainment system, and it includes the standard Audi virtual cockpit system, which is like the gauge cluster system, which is quite customizable and probably one of the best in the industry at the moment. And then the rear seats, it is a 5-seat car, but the center seat is very loosely termed a seat. It's just for technical reasons, really. And in the rear, it has some controls. It has some outlets for air, and it has a control. The only thing you can control is temperature. You can't control fan or anything like that. So that's interesting. So, it's a cool car. I would definitely not buy it.
Yes.
But there will definitely be customers for it. I don't think anyone's going to be swapping to Audi brands to buy the car. But, this is them. I think this is their ditch effort at the future.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It sounds like a disappointment.
I think it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
It's safe. I think it's safe.
Yeah, right.
I think they sat down in a boardroom and, the old nature of the company was oh, no, we can't compete with the Tesla or the, we're not going to even try that. You can imagine these young people in the country, in the company, yeah, we've got all these ideas. New engineers just come out of uni. We're going to create all this software. And they're like, no.
Yeah, we have to.
We're going to keep it simple.
We're going to lose our customers.
We're going to lose our customers. Yeah. It's going to freak them out. Let's just keep it simple. Let's just do a similar spec car. We'll just make it electric. We'll make it look the same. We'll make it drive the same. We'll give it the same interior. It'll just be electric.
Yep.
And it'll be the worst electric vehicle on the market.
Yeah. Crazy, eh?
So it is what it is. People will buy it. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yep.
That is all I have to say. Anything else from you?
I'm coming up with a line on the fly.
Okay.
This always works really well for me.
There's a cat coming. There's a cat coming over.
Oh, he's coming in here. I don't want this.
I think he's coming.
Oh, no.
This is random. Funny how cats just randomly come over. I think it's when they're... Oh, there's a cat under the table. You can't see this, but...
Yeah. I'm going to go and grab the...
There's a cat there.
Anyway. I probably shouldn't do that. He's going to start biting my leg or something. No, he's friendly enough.
He's friendly. I just touched him.
Oh, careful with the cord, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, she's looking for a cat. It's over here.
No, she's not.
She is. She's definitely looking for a cat.
No, she's not.
Nah.
I don't think she is.
Maybe. Right, you ready for my grand finisher?
Yeah.
I haven't written it down. I started writing it down and then I decided not to.
Another insane Range Rover. So sick.
That is quite cool.
Sorry, yes. Give us a finish. Okay, so that's all I've got to say.
Yeah. So your verdict is don't buy.
No. No. Don't buy it. I don't know why you would. You'd buy it if you're in a tunnel and you can't be bothered to research anything else. Sure.
Yeah. If you can't be bothered. Yeah.
It's easy.
We're here to reroute global shipping around Africa. It's HQLA.
Thanks.